this is Uncle Destiny back with you, here to give you your reading for the month of February. Apologize if it's a little late. Been busy. The world and life has been drawing a lot of attention, not just for myself, but for many of us. What I want to remind everyone of is that this month of February, during President's Day weekend, here in San Jose, there's going to be the annual pagan convention Pantheon. I will be at that. So if you're there, keep an eye out and you might see me. Otherwise, with much that has been going on, it's time to see what the ancestors and the spirits have to say for this coming month of February and how we are to manage it and what we can expect to encounter. So let's get the bones thrown and see what they have to say. Alright, so we've got the bones thrown, and we have several that came off the reading surface here. So they are not part of the reading. Now, what we've got left, though, let's see what we've got. So we saw the quartz, the copper, the shell, and at least two of our main bones, large bones. Now, what I see with this one is work, this one is family. Now, they are, again, actually in a way linked by the rib bone, so there's a support aspect between the two of them, as well as we also have another support element here next to the work bone. So starting with those two, what's interesting is that the really strongest bone here that's providing support is next to the work bone. So work is going to have some high points. It's going to be a lot more, there's going to be a bit more stress. There's going to be changes, but there's also going to be a lot of successes. I sense a lot of completions coming to bear. Now, these completions might be of a project, of the end of a fiscal quarter, which it's going to be tax season anyway, as well as the end of a position. It may be time for a promotion or to change jobs or change companies. But a change is coming, a very strong one at that. And it senses the completion of a long journey as well. Well, at least the start of the completion of a long journey. And there is much support there with this bone, with these two bones together. But there continues a link also into the family bone. Now, there's the link to it. It's much thinner. It's the rib bone. So there's a support and aspect of spirit in the connection between work and family. In some ways, you will need to resolve some things using what you know and have learned at work and this potential change to affect your family. But what's more is that the changes in family are also going to be something that's going to, well, the change itself is going to be a sign to your family. It's a sign potentially of growing up, a sign of strength, a sign of maturity, a sign of resolve. But it is going to have an effect on your family and the view of you that they have of you. So let's move into their bigger cluster here. Now the bigger cluster, which is what we have, the copper piece, the shell, and the quartz. Now since the quartz piece is a little off, but we're going to get to that in a moment, it's the fact that we have the copper piece and the shell. Copper piece is the conductive influences to spirit, which is pretty damn strong. And especially the fact that we also have the shell. Now, this time it's flipped over, so we've got the back of it. So we've got the part that would be dealing with the outside. So what I see is there's a lot of spiritual energy going into nature, and a lot of the forces that it's calling on and shifting and directing are going to be on the much more exterior. So we're going to be dealing with a lot more things coming at us from outside of ourselves as opposed to within, if the shell had been flipped over. To that end, that means they're going to be dealing with, on a little more global scale, much more events that are going to be having far-reaching effect. So these are things that are coming outside of yourself. Now that is both geopolitical as well as natural. And the fact that we have the shell turned over we are looking very much at, I think, a strong sense of natural elements happening. So this might be issues such as flooding in areas, or high winds, or um, sinkholes, or even to the fact of weather patterns shifting to the point where water that was normally expected is less, or we may be seeing more times with greater suns, greater droughts. Now, this is an effect that's going to be happening over the course of the world, not just a single location or area. And because of that, even though it may seem like it's in one area, it has an effect on another. The water that would have been in one place is now showing up more in another place. So there's going to be much more going on in this balancing, if you will, that the world is going through has to do with much more shifts of the energies that have been unleashed and that are presently working to resettle themselves. It may be a while before those powers are resettled. To that end, we move over to the quartz, which again is about memory, the past, those things that are lessons, those things that are information. Now, what we've got is that it's surrounded by much of the support bones, as well as both pieces of the broken rib bone. And you'll notice we have this interesting little pattern here, or at least shape. That's kind of like the ribbons that sometimes are worn for various events, such as HIV or remembering soldiers, or for breast cancer. We have this looped pattern. It goes up, comes down, and it starts really over here with this broken rib piece and finishes up with the other one. Now, why that is significant is also what we see here with this one. And this one is the bone that's at the top of the spinal cord, but very much reminds me also of the pelvic bone and the opening canal, or I should say the birth canal. And the thing that why this is important is that what is being birthed has a lot of support both around it that is bad, but it has its ability to go into something good. Now, why do I say that since these both are broken pieces? We have the sharp sharded piece. This is the stabbing piece. This is the injuring piece. And yet, because we have so much of this bone left, which is also a little more blunted, it has the chance of not harming as much. It has the part that it can still function to a degree within the body and allow it to be regrown. This can't, because it is disconnected from source. This one still has potential of being connected to source and still being able to regrow. So there's a lot of energy in that. And again, also notice that this one feeds right up against the copper piece. So there's also spiritual energy for wanting regrowth, change. So it's going to start out, and what is birthed is going to have a negative start. But follow the pattern, trust the arc, trust the motion of it, and move with that motion. And you will have a more prosperous and healthier beginning. Now, I see this in a lot of people's attitudes, and it comes around the attitudes, and with the memory, the attitude of what is expected, what is one's entitlement, and whether one's worth is determined by others or by self. One's personhood, if you will, is reinforced by the world around them, but it has also begun within oneself. And it is something that one must work to always recognize, honor, and never give up. So there's a strong sense in this time about maintaining your personhood, maintaining those forces that remind you who you are in the face of these greater storms that are coming with these issues, both, like I said, natural and geopolitical. That spirit above anything else knows you exist. They know you exist. Even when the real world, or I should say the physical world, And those that dwell in it who have lost sight of things want to remove who you are, who you have been, what you have impacted so far in this world, because there's still much more for you to impact. Know that spirit, the ancestors, and the higher forces know you still exist, know you still have value, and they will support that. Those who reach into that inner core and push that, and connect with that, and have relationship with spirit, because they do not turn their face from you as others will. Now, a few satellite bones, and this one here, this set here, this is what we're going to be seeing come spring. Again, there's changes coming, forces that are still at play and still need to be seen, but are still stirring up, and it's going to take a while for that dust to settle. And then we have this one over here. Now, this one's coming in early. This is the summer. There's something coming up around the summer, or at least the end of spring, so probably more towards Beltane. But there's something brewing support-wise and here that's coming in. Overall, this pattern is rather dispersed, but what I see most of all in it, it kind of, depending on how you'll accept the look of this, I almost see, some might say a rhino or a unicorn, but I'm going to go more with the rhino since this is the point of horn. Actually, it looks more like a triceratops, which meant that if we're taking that meaning, because here's the mouth piece, eyes, the upper horns, and there's a couple flies that are flying around it. The thing about a triceratops, which is in some ways physically similar to what we know of today as the rhino, or similar to the rhino, is that it's a creature that will charge headlong with great and impact with great force as it hits things on that horn. So right now, for the month of February, make sure you are moving ahead, that you are charging, but charging with vision, not just blindly. So, this is Uncle Destiny on behalf of the ancestors, the spirits. I wish you Ashe, I wish you strength, I wish you love, and I wish you more than anything, a good connection with spirit. Blessed be.